And Margaret Brennan is at the White House and is good enough to join us now. And Margaret, first, just to the size and scope of the territory we're talking about, particularly there in the Arctic. Just what are we talking about here?
This is roughly 115 million acres. That's like the size of Spain practically. And then that's just part of it. The other bit is the 4 million off the eastern seaboard. It takes you from New England down to around where I am in the Chesapeake Bay area. So it's a large swath of land and water that's now going to be under this ban from any kind of oil exploration, and the White House thinks it's permanent.
This was very divisive on social media yesterday. We did see the oil and gas lobby say not for long, but why are advocacy groups so optimistic that a President Trump will not be able to reverse course here?
Well, those advocacy groups help to convince the White House in particular, which we heard from administration officials yesterday. They are very confident that it is going to be very difficult to try to reverse the order in some way, like unwithdraw. It was the term they used from this ban. So this goes back to a really obscure law from 1953 called the Outer Continental Shelf Act. So it's been used before, but never to institute a permanent ban. The White House thinks that if the Republican-controlled Congress does try to reverse the order, that this could end up in the courts. It would be a long, very costly litigation. But frankly, Josh, if you look just at the numbers, as something Donald Trump says he likes to do, it doesn't make a lot of financial sense at this moment to even try to drill in the Arctic because the price of oil is so low. There's really no incentive to do that. You'd probably have to see the price of oil triple to have it make any financial sense to go out. I mean, there isn't a lot of drilling in the Arctic right now for the United States.
And Margaret, as it regards the president's legacy on environmental policy in general, certainly climate change has always seemed to get short shrift. There was not a single question asked about it in any of the debates. But now here comes the Trump administration. How concerned is the president and other administration officials about the legacy he'll leave behind, especially seeing climate change skeptic Scott Pruitt about to take over the EPA?
Well, the White House is really rushing to seal this legacy because President Obama has done a lot, in fact, more than any other president, to try to protect federal lands and waters, and then also to negotiate this international climate change accord, the Paris Agreement, this agreement to cut back on greenhouse gas emissions, all with the idea that the damage done to the environment is permanent, or it is at least extremely hard to counter. So why not try to institute these things for generations to come? That's the president's argument. As you just said, the next administration is not only appointing an EPA administrator who says, frankly, global warming and climate change doesn't exist, but he's also got a lot of very friendly relationships with the energy industry, particularly among his cabinet members. The Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, if he is confirmed, would be coming directly from the head office at the world's largest oil company into the cabinet, and he would have to be dealing with that climate change accord. So the White House is trying to see what it can do to protect at least American land from any kind of repeal that would damage through drilling or through other efforts. So for the White House, and certainly for many of the left-leaning environmental advocacy groups, they think they need to lock this in so that the legacy isn't ground to dust. For the Trump administration, and certainly even on Capitol Hill, some of the Alaskas, Lisa Murkowski from Alaska, is arguing that this could potentially cut off financial benefits for her state, because Alaska obviously has a big stake in the oil drilling industry.
You know, we should note, of course, Rex Tillerson has said that he does believe climate change is an issue. Yes. And as we've noted, we've seen Al Gore and Leonardo DiCaprio traipsing through Trump Tower. So perhaps there is room to move on that issue. Margaret Brennan at the White House, as always, we appreciate the time.